Okay, how's it going, everybody? So, this is we're gonna get back into Russia's Pattern of Development by Karl Marx, which was a letter to the editorial board of the Fatherland Notes from 1807, which is I guess a Russian paper during this time. So, we're gonna go ahead. During this time, Lenin was 7 years old. Isn't that interesting? He was a 7-year-old Vladimir Ilyich. But we're going to go ahead and get into, let's see, chapter 2, or section 2 of this writing. So let's go ahead. Section 2. The chapter on primitive accumulation does not pretend to do more than trace the path by which in Western Europe the capitalist order of economy emerged from the womb of the feudal order of economy. It therefore describes the historical moment which, by divorcing the producers from their means of production, converts them into wage workers, proletarians in the modern sense of the word. I'm going to scoot this microphone maybe a little closer. Okay. While it converts those who possess the means of production into capitalists. In that history, quote, all revolutions are epoch-making that act as levers for the advancement of the capitalist class in course of formation, above all, those which, by stripping great masses of men of their traditional means of production and subsistence, suddenly hurl them on the labor market. But the basis of this whole development is the expropriation of the agricultural producer. This has been accomplished in radical fashion only in England, but all the countries of Western Europe are going through the same movement, end quote, etc., Capital French edition, page 315. At the end of the chapter, the historical tendency of production is summed up as thus, that it, quote, itself begets its own negation, with the inexorability which governs the metamorphosis of nature, end quote. That it has itself created the elements of a new economic order by giving the greatest impulse at once to the productive forces of social labor, and to the integral development of every individual producer, that capitalist property, resting already as it actually does, on a collective mode of production, cannot but transform itself into social property. At this point, I have not furnished any proof for the good reason that this statement is itself nothing else but a general summary of long expositions previously given in the chapters on capitalist production. Now, what application to Russia could my critic make of this historical sketch? Only this. If Russia is tending to become a capitalist nation after the example of the West European countries, and during the last few years she has been taking on a lot of trouble in this direction, she will not succeed without having first transformed a good part of her peasants into proletarians. And after that, once taken to the bottom of the capitalist regime, she will experience its pitiless laws like other profane peoples. That is all, but that is too little for my critic. He feels he absolutely must metamorphose my historical sketch of the genesis of capitalism in Western Europe into a historico-philosophic theory of the general path every people is fated to tread, whatever the historical circumstances in which it finds itself in order, that it may ultimately arrive at the form of economy which ensures, together with the greatest expansion of the productive powers of social labor, the most complete development of man. But I beg his pardon. He is both honoring and shaming me too much. Let us take an example. In several parts of Capital, I allude to the fate which overtook the plebeians of ancient Rome. They were originally free peasants, each cultivating his own piece of land on his own account. In the course of Roman history, they were expropriated. The same movement which divorced them from their means of production and subsistence involved the formation not only of big landed property, but also of big money capital. And so one fine morning, there were to be found on the one hand free men stripped of everything except their labor power, and on the other, in order to exploit this labor, those who held all the acquired wealth in their possession. What happened? The Roman proletarians became not wage laborers, but a mob of do-nothings, more abject than the former, quote, poor whites, end quote, in the south of the United States. And alongside of them, there developed a mode of production which was not capitalist but based on slavery. Thus events strikingly analogous but taking place in different historical surroundings led to totally different results. By studying each of these forms of evolution separately and then comparing them, one can easily find the clue to this phenomena, but one will never arrive there by using as one's master key a general historico-philosophical theory, the supreme virtue of which consists in being super-historical. Okay, yeah. So that's the second part of Russia's Pattern of Development by Karl Marx, since the editorial board of the Fatherland Notes, um, November 1877. So thank y'all for tuning in. Facebook, Twitter, Medium, Tumblr, all of these are Marxist. Hit me up there. Also, YouTube, you're probably hearing this on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, notification bell. I'm trying to do 5 videos a day. So I'm trying to do. Some days I can't make it on here to put them up, but I do trying to do what I can. So, yeah, y'all tune in and check it out. And we'll constantly have more Marxist stuff and all other sorts of writings that, it's not always just Marx. Sometimes it's just straight up historical stuff, philosophical stuff, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, y'all go check out y'all go, or y'all subscribe and check it out. And please, learn as much as you can with me. I'm learning this in real time. As I read it. I guess it's not real time if you're hearing this, but this is my first time reading this one. Everything I do or everything I record here, it's like my first time reading it. I tend not to read the same one again, but or at least on here if I've read it before. But yeah, so y'all have a great day, and dodali goy.